Welcome to NARAL's The Morning After. Each Thursday, our podcast brings you the latest on reproductive health care, progressive politics, and the fight to keep abortion safe and legal. NARAL's The Morning After is a production of NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Pro-Choice OH. Enjoy the show.
I'm Jaime.
Hi, I'm Randi. So this past Sunday, we had a really awesome rally in Dayton in front of Dr. Haskell's clinic, and that's the last clinic in Dayton and the Miami Valley area. And, right now, they're the ones that have been getting harassed by Created Equal, like a lot of postcards sent and going to their kids' schools and things like that, which is why we introduced HB 408.
Yep.
Yeah, I got it right. Which is to combat clinic harassment against the clinic workers and the doctors. And so we had also started a campaign to get signatures of support for the doctors there who have signed on to variances because, they've really been targeted by these anti-groups. So we're just trying to, we just had the rally, to show them that there are local residents who, are appreciative of what they're doing and understand that they have to deal with all of that just to give health care. I mean, that's really ridiculous that you have to put up with all of that to do something that's legal and that's helping people. So, so we went out there. It was about I would say there was about 40 to 50 of us. There was also a lot of antis there because they're having their little end of whatever.
40 days for life.
Yeah. So there was a lot of them out there. Representative Antani was there speaking. And it was just, but it did get a little crazy at some points, but other than that, it was good. And we got to speak to a lot of people. We got a lot of signatures. So I was really happy. And we were on Joy, who's with the Dayton Women's Rights Alliance. They had her on the news. They had her and then another woman from the other side.
Cool. Sounds like a good time. Yeah, I was really struck by all of the antis because they were all very, very, very upset we were counter protesting them. It's kind of what you do every day.
Yeah,
we can't do anything in the area without them showing up and crashing it.
Right.
So them getting all up in arms. Oh, they're crashing our event. Number one, we're not. We're having a protest at the clinic. And number two,
it's not like they're welcome at the place that they're having an event at.
No,
it's not like they reserved the picnic place at the park.
No.
They're standing outside a doctor's office screaming at people.
Yes.
Randi and her friends aren't crashing it.
No. So
exactly.
That's like bank robbers complaining that the police spoiled everything.
Yes.
Well, you weren't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to stand outside an abortion clinic and scream at people.
Yes.
That's doing a bad thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not something Jesus would do.
Right.
No. They were really, really crazy. I mean, just with some of the stuff, it was just like, wow. And the thing also, they didn't let any of the women that were with them speak. The whole time, it was just the men on this really loud portable microphone, which we should get one of the microphones that they had. Because
I'm amused, but not shocked.
No.
No, exactly. I was just like, why don't any of these women speak? And also, I was like, it was like at one point they're saying, you can repent and God loves everyone. And, you're just sinners right now, but you can do better. And then the next second is, oh, you're going to hell. You're okay.
Yeah, there used to be a website that is no longer in existence. It was run by a group similar to Created Equal, but it wasn't actually them because it was before they kind of really existed. But it was called StopColumbusKilling.net. And it was one of those kind of late 90s, early 2000s, we're going to take pictures of everybody going in and out of an abortion clinic and put them online kind of things. And
I saw so many Law and Order episodes that were just like that.
Yeah. There were no targets over people's faces or those kinds of things, but there was a whole section on how to get your picture off the website. And your whole you can repent thing reminded me of that because it was this whole big long statement on how you could go to the leaders of the group, which were not identified. There was some random this random email address. And you could repent to them. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that God's pretty secure in like he is the one and only God.
Yeah.
You know, like nobody else is the judge, jury, and executioner here on earth. Like he is the all powerful. But if you repented to them and were born again and got baptized and did all this other crap and blah, 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 you could get your picture taken off of the website.
Yeah.
Which I really didn't care about because it was actually a fabulous picture of me hugging the security guard at the old Capitol Care, which was pretty damn fabulous. It was me giving Dan a big old hug, Dave a big old hug. It was hilarious because we were delivering cupcakes one day. And so, yeah.
God, what a horror. I mean, religious blackmail.
Yeah, really, is really what it is.
Yeah. They were really, and they were also like shouting out, and if you think Muhammad or Yahweh is going to get you there, then that's not going to get you into heaven. Only Jesus Christ. And it's like, how do you know? Like, seriously? It's just so many things. It's like they're not just there to be like, oh, we're anti-abortion. We're also anti-gay, anti-democrat, anti-communist, anti-fascism.
Only
like,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe they didn't have a Jesus reenactor with a sword, like killing the Buddha.
I think they mentioned Buddha too. They did have like this big cross thing. I don't know. It was just really, really just no. And they were like, oh, you guys just came out here. We don't see. I'm here all the time. You're never here. And I'm like, that's because we don't need to be here every day. Yeah. We're not trying to protest that. We don't need to be. This is a legally protected clinic providing health care. We shouldn't have to be out here right now, protesting in support of them or counter protesting you. So why would we be here every day interfering with their business? Like, you shouldn't be here either. Like, no.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we have jobs and we, actually help people and, social workers and, like, we actually do help people. So, whatever. But,
and we did get accused of not having jobs, which I think is ironic because it's like you're out here the same time I'm out here. And you just said that you never see me here because you're always here. Right. Do you have a job?
Yes, that one. Harassing women is my job.
And it was on the weekend. It's not like
a Sunday afternoon.
Exactly. So
it's not like Tuesday morning.
Because we're here on a Sunday afternoon, we don't have jobs. I'm like, okay, your logic is undeniable.
Undeniably stupid.
Yes.
But
it is very appropriate that they don't let women speak as they try to silence women.
Yes. Well, we were told one screaming at a woman who was there on our side, who's also happens to be a vet, and yelled at her to get back in the kitchen. And that's when she went off on him, telling him that she had done like a tour in Iraq and she was a veteran, and like I was like, but I mean that's what happens when you think our stories and you don't, and you just put this whole face on it of, oh, these evil women getting abortions. Like, no.
Well, that's what just kind of shows what they really believe. It's not that abortion is bad. It's that we should really go back to the 1930s where all the women were in the kitchen.
Women,
and because abortion didn't happen back then. Not.
Yeah.
Just didn't happen in safe, legal medical facilities. So yeah. Maybe they want us to get back in the kitchen so that we can come out of the kitchen and vote for Kasich. Although these people are way too far right to actually be Kasich supporters.
Oh,
nice segue, Jamie.
Didn't mean it that way. It just kind of popped into my head.
Nice. So what's new in election land?
Well,
since you mentioned Kasich.
Since I mentioned Kasich, one of my favorite things in election news this week is that even though there are only 3 people in the race now for the Republicans, Kasich came in 4th in Arizona. Because I guess I've got some big, huge window for early voting. So
a lot of people voted for Rubio.
So Kasich came in 4th, which is
that's
hilarious.
Just so sad.
Please clap.
Please clap.
That is a please clap moment.
So and then so in Arizona, Clinton won, Trump won. In Utah, Sanders and Cruz won, and in Idaho, which only had a Democratic primary, Sanders won. Actually, it wasn't a primary; it was a caucus. Sanders won that Democratic caucus. So it was, kind of what you expect. Clinton picked up Arizona, which was actually a primary election and closed primary, which actually seems to have some major issues. There was some major weirdness going on there. I mean, people were waiting 3 hours in line to vote.
Right.
They were saying that like,
and this is not Hillary Clinton's fault.
No, it's the Republicans in Arizona's fault. How many polling
state of
locations
Arizona
and these kind of things.
systems.
Yes. Well, and that's the other thing is that it's a closed primary. So
Right.
if you did vote or identify yourself as an independent at one point, and it was the last time you did it, that's what you would have been registered for, and you would have had to register the other way, which is stupid. Like you should be able to just walk in and do it. But we're gonna have a discussion of open versus closed primaries here.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw in Ohio a lot of people who crossed the line to vote on the other ticket. I mean, I had people in my own family that did so. They were like,
dude, we are not responsible for fixing the craziness that is happening over there. People get with it.
right. So,
Like,
you
not
know,
our responsibility.
people who are solid general election Democratic voters crossing the line to vote against Donald Trump in the Republican primary. And I know that Republicans have done, so this is not like
Everybody
Democratic
does it.
voter problem. This is on both sides. It's not a great solution.
No,
I mean,
because you're voting for one person.
right.
I mean, we're getting
Right.
John Barnes back into the Ohio House and not getting our endorsed candidate, Jill Miller-Ziman, both Democrats. She lost in the Democratic primary. And in a lot of her precincts were the precincts in Northeast Ohio that you were like 30% Republican before and we're like 60% Republican this time because people crossed over.
Right.
So yeah, you get to vote, you get to screw with their presidential primary, which isn't really going to happen anyway, so just stop. But then you don't get to vote for anybody else down ticket.
Right.
Which is
A big problem.
Yeah, is why we're getting John Barnes, who just sat around and didn't bother to vote on the Planned Parenthood defunding bills.
Yeah.
Back in the Ohio House. So thanks.
Yeah. So, I mean, Arizona has big problems.
Yes.
A completely open primary.
May not be the solution.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
So
they definitely need, because I was reading somewhere where Tucson has, a fraction of the population that that the county that Phoenix is in. Those two counties, Phoenix is way bigger, but that Tucson had like 800,000 polling locations. Not that many. Maybe that was the population.
There are 12 polling locations
12.
per person.
Yes, never mind. That was the wrong number. But there were like twice as many polling locations open in the county Tucson was in versus the county that Phoenix was in because of Republicans closing all the polling locations in Phoenix.
Right.
So yeah, they've got some major issues they need to work out.
Yeah. So dragging that over to Ohio politics, people can vote early and should vote early. That is the solution, vote by mail, vote early at your county's early voting location. John Husted has, Ohio Secretary of State, John Husted has worked to reduce the early voting hours dramatically, but there are still early voting hours
because they keep losing the lawsuits we file against them.
Right. And
he's
so
gonna keep trying.
he will keep trying, and Representative Kathleen Clyde and all of her allies on the other side are going to keep fighting back. And so we will have some early voting hours, and you can always do the vote by mail thing. That is, the golden ticket to getting out of
absentee voting.
Yes. And just a couple elections ago that started. I think under Jennifer Brunner it became no fault.
Yeah.
But that's the solution to not have to stand in line, to make sure your stuff is walk into your county board of elections, 3 weeks before election day and get your stuff straightened out. Then don't wait for election day.
Yeah.
So, I was watching a video of a voter in Arizona who'd gone to their polling location. They voted using a provisional ballot, and then seeing that there was problems, went to their county board of elections and said, "Hey, there was some problems. I should have had this. I just had to vote a provisional. Can we get this straightened out?" They'd already voted the provisional ballot. It's like, well, we can straighten your stuff out, but you have voted.
Yeah.
Once that vote is cast, there's no taking it back, fixing things, and you can't fix stuff on election day.
Yeah.
for the most part.
And also in Ohio with the provisional ballot, you get like a receipt of your provisional ballot, and you can actually track whether or not your provisional ballot, if you have to vote provisional, you can track whether your provisional ballot counts if they need additional information on where you should have voted or those kinds of things. So,
Yeah.
if you are ever forced to vote provisional in Ohio, there are ways of tracking that and making sure you do everything that you can do to make sure that that vote actually gets counted.
Right. But vote early.
Yeah, but vote early. It just solves. You don't need your ID. You just need like your driver's license number or the last 4 of your social security number. It gets around that, so it's just way easier.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I went and I was like, I have to take my ID and I have to take a utility bill and this, and I didn't have to take any of that stuff.
Yeah, so I think up next, I can't remember Wisconsin, I think was the next one I heard.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So I saw some preliminary polling out of there, and Kasich was running third.
Which is kind of funny because their governor is
so
like
our governor
Kasich lookalike.
He totally is.
Scott Walker,
But I think he's going. They were talking on the news today that he's going to give an endorsement within like the next few days to a week, and that is probably going to be for Cruz.
Yeah, Jeb Bush came out for Cruz yesterday, which surprised the crap out of me.
La-di-da.
Yeah, not that anybody really cares, but
barely winning there right now, just like 1 point ahead of Donald Trump.
How many millions did Jeb Bush spend to endorse that'll win no votes?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, if you really want to be amused by a former presidential candidate, you should really check out the video from The Daily Show yesterday. Trevor Noah had Lindsey Graham on it.
I forgot The Daily Show was still a thing.
But no, it was hilarious. I decided that I'm either going senile or he's going senile because we're seeming to agree more and more, and it's scaring the crap out of me.
Lindsey Graham.
What was he saying?
That like the Republican Party has done lost its mind.
Yeah.
And he's finally like acquiescing that like Cruz might be slightly better than Trump, but still, like because he brought up the whole when Lindsey Graham was like, well, the difference between Trump and Cruz is really the difference between getting shot and poisoned.
Yeah.
And then Trevor was like, well, which one's shooting and which one's poisoning? He's like, well, Donald Trump's a shot to the head. You're dead immediately. Right. Cruz, you might be able to find an antidote to the poison, but it's still highly unlikely. It's like, well, it's just kind of how you see it. But yeah, right. I mean, he's just kind of like let all the like stuffiness go and is just telling it like it is. And it was hilarious to watch last night. They actually played pool. Do not play Lindsey Graham in a pool game is what I also learned on The Daily Show, because he like whipped around that table around Trevor like nobody's business. It's some good shots too. Every time you miss a shot, they had to give a compliment to Donald Trump.
Oh,
it was a definite incentive to get that ball in the pocket. So
wow,
that was highly amusing last night. You should check out the video.
So if Donald Trump is the nominee, he's not going to support him.
He hasn't gone that far, but I can't imagine him being, a really good surrogate. Like, I don't think I would invite him on the campaign trail, even if he was supporting me.
Not at all.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, we'll see.
Did you speaking of Trump and compliments, not compliments, insults?
Oh, you're gonna bring up the wives.
Yeah. Did you see this?
Oh,
it was ridiculous.
They are ridiculous.
They
I like you said, I agree with Lindsey Graham about they've lost their minds, because it's like at this point in time, it's like what Cruz is saying about after what happened in Brussels.
Oh my God.
And saying that we should, now patrol or surveil Muslim communities. And he was like, and of course the president, Hillary Clinton, were saying, this is a really dumb idea. This is not good. We need all of those allies. And true, I'll give to Kasich. He also was like, this is stupid. Yeah. Like we need, Muslim communities to help us. And he was like, this is Cruz saying, oh, well, the president and Hillary Clinton are criticizing me. I must be doing something right. It's like, no. Actually, the president who became the president twice because he won the popular vote, and you haven't won anything. And also Hillary Clinton, who was the Secretary of State, who would actually is going around and been in these parts of the world and know what's going on. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
You are putting us in a position. The things that you say do not make us safer. They make us less safe, including the people in your own base, because we don't have Secret Service protection like you do.
Mm-hmm.
So stop saying stupid stuff that's going to put us in more danger. Like, at this point, it's like, what you're doing, it's not funny.
No.
It's not cute. You should stop it and be a grown-up.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
Rant.
grown-ups
No.
on.
I mean,
Kasich likes to
it's really
pretend, but
terrible.
no.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, seriously, stop.
Yeah. So the wife thing started with some outside group. I can't remember what it's a play on Make America Great Again, but I can't remember what it was. So they put up
Make America Awesome Again.
Okay. Yeah. And they put up a meme slut shaming Donald Trump's wife.
Mm-hmm.
I hate Donald Trump. You're still not allowed to slut shame his wife. Like, she can pose in whatever picture that she wants to at any point in time.
I saw GQ reacting to this.
Yeah.
They were like, yes, this person has appeared in our magazine.
She is a model.
She's a model.
Yeah.
It was not modeling pictures. She didn't have a lot of clothes on or any clothes, but
She had some clothes on.
Continue.
It was a small amount of clothes. But yeah, so no, number one, no slut shaming, even though her husband sucks ass. But then Trump blamed Cruz for it.
Mm-hmm.
And said, I saw what you did in my wife's picture. You know, I'm going to spill the beans on your wife. Again, we're 4-year-olds. And you know, like,
I don't get the spill the beans. What is...
Like she's got some big secret out there. Like
nothing. It's the same as them saying, "Oh, I have investigators in Hawaii who have come up with some really, crazy things, and we're gonna let everyone know." It's like he knows nothing about Heidi Cruz, and he's just being Donald Trump.
So then it kind of, the point where this whole argument really got big attention was Donald Trump retweeting somebody who'd put together a picture of the two wives together. And of course, the picture of Heidi Cruz was not a flattering photo. She's like, speaking. She's in mid-sentence.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those are never good pictures.
I honestly have no idea what she looks like. But if you get anybody who's like, as they're talking, you're going to look weird.
Yeah.
None of this is relevant.
No.
I mean,
no.
The penis size thing was almost more relevant than this. This has nothing to do with the presidential campaign.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
It's incredibly insensitive both to these women and to all women.
Mm-hmm. If only Ted Cruz stood up for all women the way he stood up for his wife immediately. But, we'll let that go.
I just can't believe these are the guys that some people think would be best to run our country. Like, that just blows my mind.
Well, I think the Brussels thing really showed that, because everybody's like, "Oh, Cruz is our savior." No,
he's not.
No, he actually might be worse than Trump.
Sure.
Because he is this crazy ass Tea Party conservative.
And he actually believes it. And Trump just says whatever he thinks you want him to say.
So, Cruz is no savior at all whatsoever, and is a much, much, much worse candidate, and would be equally bad, if not worse, for this country. So, whoever wins that race, because we all know it ain't gonna be Kasich, is going to be a disaster for our country, and we need to do everything we can this fall to get rid of them.
Right.
So on the presidential thing, Supreme Court nominees.
Yes. So there's shock. Has not been any movement towards the hearing.
Yeah.
Rob Portman has solidified his opposition to a hearing, to a vote. And so has the vocal cries to call for some action. Multiple major Ohio newspapers have all advocated for a hearing.
Yeah.
I know the Cincinnati Enquirer has done so. Senator Portman wrote an op-ed in their paper, and they responded with an editorial. Nobody's asking for a yes vote.
Yeah.
Or we're not saying, hey, confirm this guy. Have a hearing.
Yeah. Exactly.
They're rejecting a hearing. Rob Portman, if he doesn't like Judge Merrick Garland, he can vote no.
Yeah.
The majority in the Senate can vote no. They can shoot this guy down. They can say, President Obama, we didn't like your guy. Go back to the drawing board, and we'll start the process over again. That's not what they're doing. They're rejecting the democratic process. Yeah. They're saying, no, we don't want to have a hearing. We don't want to have a vote. It's despicable. So do your job, Rob. And call for a hearing. So that's half of the SCOTUS news. The other half, Yesterday was oral arguments in Zubik v. Burwell. This is the case where we've got the Catholic nuns saying that no, they think that Obamacare will force them all to hand out birth control pills personally.
What? Do they really think this?
No, it's pretty much, but not quite.
Metaphorically,
yes.
And the question their lawyer asked, which illustrates this, is they're saying that Obamacare having a birth control mandate, that birth control being a part of the Affordable Care Act, is the same thing as setting up an abortion clinic inside a nunnery. What? That was the actual metaphor that
yes.
their lawyer used during the Supreme Court argument. The nuns do not want birth control included in the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah. And so, but basically, so
in the Affordable Care Act period, or they wanted
period, because
they don't,
no matter
they just
what,
don't want to have the right to be able to say, we don't have to have insurance.
Because they already have that right. They have a right. They have a right. They can fill out a piece of paper that says we religiously object to birth control. But what that does is it gets turned into the president of the HHS, and then HHS goes through the insurance company, and the insurance company on the back end offers those services to their employees. Because not everybody who works for these college, I mean, Notre Dame's in this part of this lawsuit. I mean, there's a bunch of
many Catholic
hospitals,
schools, organizations, hospitals
are all part of this. So not every student at Notre Dame is Catholic, and we college students need birth control. So
because nearly every student at Notre Dame uses birth control.
Yes. Because even 99% of Catholics use birth control at some point in their life. So so they don't even want to have to fill out the form, because the form means that their people will still get access to birth control, not through their insurance, not through their money.
They're not paying for it.
They're not paying for it. The insurance company is on the back end offering the supplemental service to the employees. But because they're still their employees and now they have access to birth control, it's not okay.
They can get access to birth control whether they're their employer. I mean, if you want to get birth control as an individual, you can go and get it.
Yeah, but this is free. Well, without copay. So they don't want that to happen because it makes it easier for them to get birth control.
Even though many of these Catholic organizations, including I think maybe Xavier here in Ohio, have included prescription birth control in their insurance options for decades.
Yeah, it was the Affordable Care Act that showed them, oh, wait, we already covered this. Oh, shit, we need to get rid of it, was their reaction to that.
It's Obama's making us give away birth control. No, actually, that was in your coverage before.
Oh, crap, that was a mistake.
Yeah. So this has made it all the way up to the Supreme Court, which only 8 people are on now. So there could be a 4-4 tie.
Which could be really confusing because this is actually a split decision out of all the lower courts. So in some states,
I'm not sure. So we need a full court.
Yeah, exactly.
And people need to stop objecting. This isn't like the abortion pill. This isn't RU486. This is regular old prescription birth control.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that teenagers take to clear up their acne on a regular basis. This is not the end of the world.
Or that grown women take to help with endometriosis or polycystic ovarian syndrome. Like, that's really
or to not get pregnant because they'd like to have sex.
Exactly.
Married couples.
Yes.
who don't want to use birth control. God, just cover it. So that's Zubik v. Burwell. Oral arguments this week. We'll probably hear more about it in the spring. So
my guess is that this will come out a day or two before the Texas case. Texas case will be the last day of session in June. At the end of June. This might come out the day before.
Right.
They generally don't like to drop monster cases all together at the same day.
Right.
So
okay.
Oh, and other sexist news in the world. Resurrecting the Title IX sports report.
The Title IX sport. We need a big fancy.
We need the
Title IX sport. It shouldn't be the Title IX sports report should not be a deep guy's voice.
I kind of like that. I thought it was good. Okay.
Women's sports.
It sounds like ESPN.
It does. Which doesn't cover women's sports hardly at all. But anyway, so in tennis news, the director of
this was shameful.
The director of the organization that runs the U.S. Open basically said that women's tennis rides on the back of men's tennis. He obviously didn't look at his ticket sales last year because the women's U.S. Open sold out like twice as fast as the men's U.S. Open. So if we're really going to have that conversation, the men are riding on the back of the women. But, you know, anyway.
I mean, women's tennis is
It's
fun to
huge.
watch.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable.
I know no male tennis players.
You're not missing out on much.
No, you really aren't.
And, you know, I listen to some of the ESPN guys talk every single day. And when they talk about tennis, most of the conversation is about, you know, it's about the Williams sisters. You know, it's not about the guys. First off, there aren't any right now American males that are doing well in tennis. So the American tennis market is all paying attention to the women. You know, it's right now all about Serena Williams. She is the big story. She's the big ticket seller. She's the one pulling in the viewers. Maria Sharapova gets more endorsement money, although she's lost that now because of the drugging thing. This is where the story is at. You know,
it's not in men's tennis.
Women's tennis has been entertaining for a very long time. You know, when I was a little kid, some of my dad's friends asked me who my favorite tennis player was because they were, you know, playing tennis. And I said Steffi Graf. And they all kind of laughed and, oh, he named a girl. And I'm like, no, actually, go watch Steffi Graf.
Yeah, go watch her play because it's way more interesting. So not shockingly, he apologized and quit. Because he was probably about to be forced out. Serena Williams did have some choice words to say about his comments. And hopefully he might have learned his lessons that women's sports is, you know, a big seller and he really shouldn't insult women athletes. Maybe hopefully at some point women will get the same kind of purse money that men get and these kinds of things
they
too.
should.
But I feel like the U.S. Open is taking one of the United States tournaments was taking some steps towards that, like in like a certain number of years, but I can't remember which one it was. We should look that up before we do.
Yeah, I mean the numbers of, you know, children picking up tennis as a sport, more and more girls are picking this up over boys all the time. This is where the growth in the market is. It's just asinine from a personal level of being insulting to players and viewers to just, hey, you really don't understand the cash market that you're in. This, and then it adds in, you know, the U.S. national women's team in soccer has not gotten the treatment that they've been looking for. The Women's World Cup, they weren't allowed to play on grass.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
They've had to pull out of games because of conditions, you know, field turf that was, you know, physically dangerous to them. It's just asinine that people don't recognize that many of these sports, you know, the women they're more competitive and they're more entertaining to watch. So,
so there was that this week. And then also it's March Madness. And so we've got all of the teams. Locally, the men didn't make the NCAA tournament, so all we have is the women. So woohoo! And they're way better and way more interesting. Yes. They made it into the Sweet 16. They're headed to Sioux City, Iowa. They're going to pay attention to Iowa for another 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And so they boarded a plane yesterday, headed to Sioux City. They play Friday night at 9:30 against Tennessee, which for the first time in a very, very long time was not ranked in the top 25. They were actually a 7 seed and had to beat a 2 seed to get into the Sweet 16. So Ohio State, a 3 seed, playing Tennessee in the Sweet 16 on Friday night. So go Bucks, but also go Volunteers.
No. You live in Columbus. You are not going to root.
Well, there might it's one of those I've rooted for Tennessee since I was, you know, able to root for a basketball team. So it's really hard now. I'm like, but no. Yeah. Joni was actually rooting for Arizona State to beat Tennessee just so she didn't have to deal with the dilemma of who to root for.
You will root for Ohio State and you will love it.
Dictator Gabe says. So but it was interesting too because everybody always every year says how much more exciting the men's tournament is because of the upsets and because of all those things. And there were a lot of huge upsets that, you know, Tennessee is not the only lower seeded team that's in the Sweet 16. Actually, out of the 8 games that will be played, I think 4 or 5 of them have teams that had to beat a higher ranked team to get in. So really for the first time, we're seeing a lot more parity in women's basketball, which is awesome for the game as well, to be able to see some of those upsets that you really didn't see in the women's team. I mean, UConn is dominating and destroying every single team, by double a score every single time because they're just that kind of team. But in a lot of the other games, you really did see competition that you really hadn't seen before. So yay for women's sports.
So we were at my in-laws for St. Patrick's Day, and my little niece is, I don't know, she's like 8 or 9. And she's sitting there, and so she made us turn on the Maryland's game. I can't remember who they were playing, but it's the women's March Madness bracket, and she wanted to see the game. So we flipped it on. And it was really impressive to watch because, she's this little girl, but she's talking about how Maryland's coach is really impressive. And then, we just asked her, so who's your favorite player? And her favorite player is a player for the Chicago Sky WNBA team. It's a woman named Elena Deladon.
Yeah, she's a really good player.
And so, she, and so my little niece is just sitting there talking about her favorite player, and Elena Deladon. It's like, oh, that's cool. And so, I was sitting there on my phone, and I pull up, and I'm like looking for, Chicago Sky t-shirts. And I'm like, oh, Uncle Gabe is going to get her, a t-shirt for her birthday or something. And then we pull up Elena Deladon. She's 6'5".
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she's huge.
So I don't want to hear anything about women not being able to compete in terms of, your sport's not entertaining. She's 6'5".
Yes.
Is she from here?
No. That's too fast. I feel like you
no, she's
one
from
of the Eastern Bloc.
No, really? Eastern State. She's from Delaware. Yeah.
Oh.
She's from the
I
US.
thought she was one of the international players.
But I mean, and she's not one of the tallest people, 6'5", 6'5", 6'4", 6'4". They've got some women who can dunk.
Yeah.
I'm super jealous. I'm only 5'3".
So women's sports is where it's at.
Yeah.
Like what do the short women play?
They can play. Actually, there was one of my favorite women's basketball players ever was Ivory Lotta. She was actually like 5'4".
Really?
Yeah, she was a point guard, this tiny little point guard for North Carolina. And like she would just run circles around them. I mean, you just see her up the court and she just like straight through them. And like she was there before anybody could catch up with her. She was a point guard, so she really wasn't, a shooter.
Yeah.
She was there to get the ball to somebody else, and because she was so short, she could get it under people. I mean, it was pretty amazing. I mean, there've been some really good, like really short players, but yeah. So yay, women's sports. You should take her to a Sky versus Indiana Fever game because there is an Indianapolis team too.
Yes,
that's only a couple hours away.
The Title IX Sports Report.
Go watch sport.
Yay!
So Randy, what's going on in the world?
Let's get it on. Okay, so Advocacy Day is coming up very, very soon. Wednesday, April 13th. Yep. Do you have times yet?
It's all day. So
all day. Okay.
Registration about 9:30. Appointments in the afternoon. So you could be done as early as 2 or so. But appointments run from like 1 to 3:30. So it could be as long as like 9:30 to 4.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been telling people. So yeah, you can sign up at bit.ly/Pro-Choice 2016. It should be really good. I had a lot of fun last year. We had a lot of people come out. A really great keynote speaker. So yes, definitely sign up and come, and it'll be a good time.
Fabulous.
And we've been sending emails out to folks. The things that we're going to be discussing are some of the abortion bans that are still pending in the legislature. The Down syndrome abortion ban, the 20-week abortion ban. Minnie the Dotson, which you might hear will not be present, unfortunately. But there are a lot of things. So we're looking to have as big of a crowd as possible to really send a big message. April 13th.
Because the legislature may be gone for the primary and now for spring break, but they are coming back with a vengeance in April, and we really need to make a big stand. So join us, bit.ly/Pro-Choice 2016. Register now.
Yep. We'll put the link in the show notes. So
thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
See everybody next week. Bye.
Bye.